Number 15. Your dog disturbs the neighborhood. Pets are the equivalent to someone's children. They are companions and in many ways provide comfort. So when someone threatens the well-being of our pets, we are guaranteed to react. Jonathan Dickerson recalled a story when a co-worker of his received a voicemail from one of his neighbors. In it, the neighbor claimed the co-worker's dog was disruptive and would make a lot of noise around the community.
Your dog disturbs the neighborhood at night.
He goes on to demand the co-worker set his dog straight or get rid of him. It seems reasonable to ask, but that's about to change. The neighbor then threatens if nothing is done, he will poison the dog.
Either keep him up or get rid of him, or I will poison him. This is your only warning.
The message is short and gets right to the point, and aside from the threats of animal murder, there's a creepy way in which the neighbor calmly states his threat, as routine as asking a neighbor to borrow sugar. According to Dickerson, the co-worker's dog is small, who lives indoors most of the time, and isn't a loud dog. Why the neighbor would make such threats is unknown. As far as we know, no harm came to the dog and no further threats were made. As the comment section of the video states, it takes a rather unpleasant person to make such threats against an animal who has not harmed anyone. Number 14. Don't answer the door. Stretching the boundaries a bit, but deserves a spot on this list, YouTube user Hellsinger85 was surprised by a random package left at his door. According to him, it arrived while he was in the middle of investigating strange occurrences and disappearances in his home of Amory, Mississippi. He alleged the package came with a note reading, "You are on the right trail. You may wish to get off the trail while you still can." The package contained an audio CD with a recorded voicemail on it, during which a first one is from AT&T, while the second appears to be more sinister. A man in a soft voice begins speaking, demanding the receiver to do what he says. The biggest threat comes right after, when he says, "If I come to the door, don't answer it."
If I come to the door, don't answer it. And no matter what you do, don't let me in the house.
Much of the call is unintelligible, but from what can be heard, it sounds as if the man does not trust himself. The uploader has used this as proof his town is being taken over by some sort of malevolent force. His website formerly detailed his research, but has long since gone offline, only viewable through the Wayback Machine. Surprisingly, the video has seen almost 3.5 million views since it was uploaded in October 2009. Whether real or not, the audio itself is enough to send shivers down someone's spine. Number 13. Rainbow Granny. Sometimes creepy voices can be so exaggerated, it is hard to determine if it's overacting or spoken by an overly deranged individual. YouTube user Chessie J received a rather unsettling series of voicemails from a random person calling itself Rainbow Granny. In a low, creepy voice, Rainbow Granny kept referring to Chessie as Peter, asking if she got his other messages and saying she needs to call back.
Rainbow Granny, baby. Did you get my picture? You better call me, or I'm gonna keep calling you. Rainbow Granny loves you, baby.
At one point, it asks if Chessie got its picture, begging the question as to what sort of picture Rainbow Granny would send, but from its voice, it's easy to imagine it would not be pretty. Rainbow Granny also makes promises of sending gifts if Peter calls back. It is difficult to determine if Rainbow Granny is a man or an older woman with a low, raspy voice.
I was on the phone with my son. If you get time, call me back. I miss you, Peter. I'm still waiting on them beautiful purple flowers, baby.
Regardless, Rainbow Granny's persistent messages appeared to harbor something sinister. As many commenters pointed out, it has the same vocal mannerisms as Herbert from Family Guy, with the exception of the low voice. To this day, it is unknown if Rainbow Granny was a messed up prank or a messed up person. Number 12. Hey Alex. Calls late at night either mean a friend who's been drinking is calling, someone overseas is calling, or you're about to get really bad news. None of these were the case for Alex Sanchez when he got a voicemail around 2 a.m. one night. In it, a man with a mildly deep voice instantly turns vulgar when he implies Sanchez's reason for not answering for explicit reasons.
Hey, Alex, is that your name? Next time you don't answer your phone, I'ma beat the out your smother yourself.
Interestingly, it seems the caller isn't even sure who Sanchez is, as his first comment is seeking confirmation if Alex is his name. He goes on to say if Sanchez doesn't answer the phone again, the caller will retaliate with violence. Much of the recording we cannot share because it gets too horrific. The chuckles of the man are also haunting, as they sound they are from a disturbed individual, one who knows what he's saying is wrong, but doesn't care. One commenter has suggested the call was from a friend, attempting to play a prank on Sanchez, and considering how absurd the conversation is, it is quite possible. Regardless, receiving such a messed up message at 2 a.m., alarm bells will ring. As far as we know, Sanchez suffered no harm and never heard from the man again, but there is no knowing what assortment of crazy people are out there who are willing to harass those who least expect it. Number 11. The Crystal. Kevin K posted a strange experience he had when he received a voicemail from two individuals who appeared to believe he was part of some prophecy. In the brief message, the callers keep referring to a mysterious crystal Kevin apparently possesses. The number was private, so he was unable to figure out who made the call, but it creeped him out. The two people on the phone sound joyous, as if their savior has appeared to rid some sort of evil they are prisoners of.
Shine in the light. Over there. I love you so much.
More than likely, these people are either pranksters or not mentally stable. Besides being creepy, the callers do not appear to have ill intent. Even the commenters of the video take the humorous side of the call, adding their own takes on the ramblings of the callers. At the same time, it is easy to see the disturbing side of it. Who were these people, and why were they so interested in this possibly non-existent crystal? It makes you wonder if this was a serious call. What was going through their minds at the time? We'll never know because no other calls came and Kevin hasn't updated. We are left to speculate the powers this magical crystal held. Number 10. A ghost in the machine. A big fear nowadays is whether or not machines will take over. Braxton McCammond had a strange experience when his sister's phone was desperately trying to communicate. In his words, it was mid-morning when his sister's phone kept trying to dial their mother's phone. Slightly freaked out, she left her phone in her room and went downstairs. Around this time, their mother came out of her room and asked Braxton's sister why she kept trying to call, which the sister replied it wasn't her, but her phone. As this was happening, the phone called again and this time left a voicemail. In the message, you hear a radio playing, followed by what sounds like some sort of electrical screams. Braxton admits he finds the call disturbing, particularly at the end when the phone actually hangs up on its own. As Braxton explains, if the call were simply a ghost dial or malfunction, the message would have been longer. Something was trying to communicate, either screaming in pain or anger. No other information is provided, and it is unknown if the calls continued. Was the phone gaining a mind of its own, or was this another example of the afterlife attempting to talk to the living? Number 9. Bellevue Hospital. Sometimes something scary can have an underlying layers of melancholy. Brian Brooklyn received an eerie call from what appeared to be an elderly woman. Throughout the message, the woman sounds tired and is speaking cryptically about unknown things. In the background, there are ambient noises of machines and even other people talking.
Tony, I need to talk with you. This is Nietzsche. So we can get a chance. I'm trying to catch you as late as possible. Okay. Get your ass in the house.
Brian was understandably puzzled and did not know who the caller was, but was even more surprised when he found out where the call came from. Upon looking up the number, it turns out the call had come from Bellevue Hospital in New York City, which is the oldest public hospital in the United States. Clearly, the call came from a patient who, considering the age in her voice, could fairly be speculated to be suffering from a form of dementia, but it could also be from an injury or mental illness. To support the latter, Bellevue has a psychiatric ward to house many mentally disturbed people in New York City, with the New York Times calling the city a magnet for mentally disturbed people. While the voice in the call is certainly haunting, considering the possibility of mental illness and confusion being the factor for the random call, it counts as a reminder to the various psychological issues people face on a daily basis, with Brian being reminded from a random phone call. Of course, this is all speculation, but plausible considering the circumstances. There's also a creepy factor, since at any moment, we can receive a call from an unexpected place, such as Bellevue Hospital. Number 8. An elegant woman. People start taking notes because the following is not a way to try and pick someone up. Quickie Mart on YouTube posted audio of a man apparently named Dimitri, who she jokingly refers to as the Toronto Stud. The beginning sounds fine enough, he sounds polite and confident, but it becomes clear he is a bit too confident.
Explain why I approached you. I am single, I have no trouble meeting women. I mean, women approach me 6-7 times a day. I couldn't take my eyes off of you, and your friends were very jealous. Even if they say they weren't, they were envious of the fact that I approached you.
Dimitri begins to describe himself as single, although he has no trouble meeting women and is apparently approached by women up to 7 times a day. He continues to say he is very particular about who he is attracted to and describes this woman as very elegant, and assumes her friends were jealous. He approached her, even if they said they weren't. Throughout the video, she provides commentary via text on the screen, which adds some humor to the cringe. Dimitri goes on with an overconfident attitude and certainly comes across as a narcissist. However, the message doesn't come across as threatening, but this isn't the end of the story. Dimitri leaves a second message, despite admitting he doesn't like to, but insists he is very infatuated by her and would like very much to meet up with her.
Hi there, Olga. It's Dimitri calling again, the guy from the street. I left you a message several days ago. I don't know, maybe you were abused in childhood, maybe your mother has cancer, you're going to chemo, but otherwise, don't call me, okay? Bye.
Now, he seems to be persistent and on the verge of threatening. There is much more to the messages, but it is just something to be experienced for yourself. Prepare yourself for much cringe though, because Dimitri is a great provider of it. Number 7. Demonic breaths. Phones can be a pain, and it's often we find ourselves dropping calls due to reception issues. This is what happened to Vanessa when she was speaking to her girlfriend in February 2013. Her girlfriend quickly called back, but who picked up wasn't Vanessa. Instead, a series of deep breaths were heard, along with the occasional words spoken by a deep voice. Meanwhile, Vanessa was attempting to call back herself, but kept getting her girlfriend's voicemail. When she finally got in touch again, her girlfriend was in a panic, convinced Vanessa was playing a trick on her. After some skepticism, Vanessa received a voicemail with the same breaths and deep voice. There are moments when it's easy to distinct words are being said, but what is being said is up for speculation. At one point, it sounds like the voice is saying "help me" or "call me." Near the end of the message, garbled conversation can be heard in almost an alien or demonic phonetics as opposed to regular speech. The women are still baffled by what happened and are unsure if their signal somehow crossed with another call or if they came into contact with demons or extraterrestrials. Either way, they managed to contact someone or something they were never expecting to. Number 6. Wrong number. Wrong numbers are a part of life and are more often embarrassing, but easy to get out of. Web guy Com, on the other hand, received a disturbing voicemail from a caller he didn't know, and one which was certainly meant for another person. Immediately as the message starts, the caller begins berating the intended receiver, lambasting them with accusations of not caring their father is in jail. While wrong number calls can be comical, this one is more sinister. You can hear a child crying and sobbing in the background, and at several points the caller turns their attention to chastise the child. In fact, most of the call is the caller yelling at the child, whom she calls Bubby.
Do you not care that your daddy's in jail? You just don't care, do you? No, daddy's in jail for the rest of my life. Shut up, Bubby.
While the circumstances are unclear regarding this mother and her child's situation, the language she uses towards an obviously young individual is enough to put anyone into distress. The uploader was clearly confused and upset by the call and provides that it was from an 817 number, meaning it came from either within Fort Worth, Texas or the surrounding area. The call ends as abruptly as it started, with the woman shouting, "Shut up, Bubby." The uploader does provide some text commentary and makes no jokes, as it obviously was a disturbing call to receive. No other information besides the area code is provided, but there isn't much else to get considering the person who received this voicemail is as much in the dark as the rest of us. Number 5. The screeches. Phones glitch in all sorts of ways, sometimes minor, sometimes major, and sometimes disturbingly so. Even our mailboxes aren't safe. Several YouTube users have posted videos of strange screeching sounds emanating from their speakers. The volume of these will be enough to send someone jumping out of their chair should they listen to the message through their earpiece or headphones. Many people will have experienced these, and 90% of the time it is nothing more than a technical issue during the call and can be fixed easily, while others are likely due to a mechanical fault or damages to the speaker, but this doesn't make them any less terrifying. When we get a voicemail, we are usually expecting intelligible speech to greet us, either from a friend, family member, or telemarketer, but every so often we are instead met with these terrifying screeches from a bad signal or damaged phone. There is also ideas around that these noises are caused by technical interference, by hackers, and even aliens. However, these are difficult to prove, nevertheless scary to think about. We also can't blame people from jumping to such conclusions when their ears are bombarded by the inhuman screams of electrical nightmares. Number 4. Prank or lunatic. This is why people are hesitant to answer calls from unknown people. YouTube user Wendy Darling was going through a rather strange time in her life. Around the beginning of April 2011, she had recently had someone sending her photographs of a stuffed monkey taken in front of various landmarks around the world, which she claims remains anonymous to this day. Then she received a very strange voicemail, one she describes as both scary in a stalker, crazy kind of way, while also funny in a prank, outlandish kind of way. The message starts with the caller reciting the United States Pledge of Allegiance. Then the caller goes off as if she is conducting a sermon. She then proceeds to make extremely odd statements, such as hoping Darling's operation went without complication.
I was just calling because I really hope that your cancer, not your cancer, sorry, that was awkward. Your procedure with your went well. I know they were kind of flat, but
However, Darling has no idea who the caller is and notes that at the end of the audio, clearly the caller had no intention of harm and was possibly attempting to pull a prank, had the wrong number, or was just a strange, quirky person in general. But why was it made? The answer is up in the air to this day. Number 3. The Rasp. Horror movies of all kinds have used the trope of a scary caller. From Black Christmas to Scream, it has been used several times to evoke fear of the disturbed caller. Moondog 12 had fiction become real when his home phone had a message waiting for him when he returned home. On his answering machine was a sinister sounding raspy voice, so low and rough it is hard to make out what is being said. Regardless, the caller does sound sinister and even demonic. In fact, the voice is so distorted, virtually nothing can be made out except a few phrases here and there. Therefore, there is no way of telling what the person on the other end is talking about unless someone pays really close attention, and even then it is difficult to decipher. This makes it even scarier, since it is difficult to determine what motivations the person had for calling. There is also the possibility one of the phones could have suffered a malfunction, leading to voice distortion, and the sinister sounding voice. The commenters have made light of the situation, making references to 666 and even Darth Sidious from Star Wars, which the voice admittedly has some resemblance. However, Moondog 12 hasn't posted any updates, so it is very plausible to this day he has no answers. Whether it was a glitch, a creeper, or a demon calling, we are left wondering which is correct. Number 2. Ghost mail. Imagine receiving a voicemail from the other side. Several people have claimed to have been left a voicemail from someone they know who has passed away. Paranormal Normalcy posted a video in April 2011 of audio from a voicemail, which only has a soft whisper speaking before ending. According to her, her grandfather had passed away the previous December, and she randomly received the voicemail in April. She said the phone rang once before going to voicemail, and when she checked it, she heard what she believes to be Grandpa in the message.
Saved message.
In another example, Daniel posted audio of a voice that sent chills down his spine. Just before the actual caller makes his brief message, you can hear someone whisper "Mom."
5:54 p.m.
What scares him the most is he claims the voice sounds exactly like his own. Lastly, there is Lisa B, who managed to have several EVPs captured on a mysterious voicemail she received. Most of it is unintelligible, but every so often, a word can be heard clearly, including an elongated Lisa. The voicemail lasts well over a minute, and it is clear something was attempting to communicate with Lisa. Who it was and what they were trying to say remains a mystery. People all over try to communicate with the deceased, but sometimes it is the deceased trying to communicate with us. Before we get to number 1, my name is Chills and I hope you're enjoying my narration. If you're curious about what I look like in real life, then go to my Instagram at DylanIsChillinYT and tap that follow button to find out. I'm currently doing a super poll on my Instagram. If you believe ghosts are real, then go to my most recent photo and tap the like button. If you don't, DM me saying why. When you're done, come right back to this video to find out the number 1 entry. Also, follow me on Twitter at YTChills because that's where I post video updates. It's a proven fact that generosity makes you a happier person. So if you're generous enough to hit that subscribe button and the bell beside it, then thank you. This way you'll be notified of the new videos we upload every Tuesday and Saturday. Number 1. Message for a Dead Man. The murder of Travis Alexander on June 4th, 2008 was the beginning of one of the most talked about crimes of the end of the 2000s and into the 2010s with the eventual trial of Alexander's ex-girlfriend, Jodi Arias. She was charged with first-degree murder of Alexander, whereas she claims she killed Alexander in self-defense. The trial itself became a spectacle to watch, not in a humorous way, but for how disturbing the case was and how ruthless prosecutor Juan Martinez was in challenging Arias' defense. Part of the evidence against Arias were a series of voicemails left by her on Alexander's phone, from which you can clearly hear her nervous demeanor in her voice.
My phone died, so I wasn't getting back to anybody. And what else? Oh, and I drove 100 miles in the wrong direction. Over 100 miles, thank you very much. So yeah, remember New Mexico? It was a lot like that.
By now, Arias has confessed to murdering Alexander, so it was already known she falsely made the calls to divert suspicion away from her, which obviously failed. More eerily, the voicemail was left only 6 hours after Arias killed Alexander, and his body had not yet been found. Her voice is also rushed and stuttery, which is arguably due to her fear of getting caught. Furthermore, Arias also had Alexander's PIN for his phone and was able to listen to other messages left to him in his mailbox, something investigators were able to prove she had done prior to and after his passing. Things aren't done yet, since she called Alexander a further 3 times, including once 5 days after his body was found, but for unknown reasons. In the end, her struggle to make an alibi to escape justice, as well as various other conflicts in her statements, led to the jury finding her guilty of first-degree murder on May 7th, 2012. She is now serving a life sentence and has no possibility of parole. Thanks for checking out this video. Be sure to subscribe because we upload new countdowns every Tuesday and Saturday. Or if you're still not convinced, here are some of our other videos that I think you'd like. Enjoy!